Stop scrolling right now because what I am about to show you could already be sitting inside your pocket, your drawer, or that forgotten jar of loose change. I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm not talking about guesses. I am talking about real Washington quarter dollars that are turning ordinary people into owners of massive hidden wealth. Old, rusty, dirty, grayish coins that most people ignore but collectors hunt like treasure. Today's video is dangerous for anyone who spends coins without looking, because these quarters are not money. They are big bags of dollars disguised as pocket change. From ultra-rare dates to historic mint errors, these coins are exploding in today's auction market. Watch till the end because one single detail could decide whether you hold spare change or hidden fortune. This is DDC Coin News, now known as Rare Coin Secrets USA, and today, we unlock treasure most people never see. First up. Now let's slow down for just a moment and focus your eyes, because the first coin in today's list is not just rare, it is historically powerful, emotionally valuable, and financially explosive. The 1934 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark represents a turning point in American history, a moment when the nation was redefining itself after hardship, struggle, and survival. This year matters deeply to the United States because the Washington quarter itself was still a young design, introduced only 2 years earlier, created to honor George Washington during the recovery era following the Great Depression. Every coin struck in 1934 carries the weight of a country rebuilding its confidence, and that historical pressure alone makes this year critical. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark, and it was produced using a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. That silver content is not just metal, it is stored history, locked inside a coin that circulated through American hands during one of the most important economic recovery periods in the nation's story. Over time, many of these coins were melted, heavily worn, or destroyed, which is exactly why surviving examples in very fine condition with a natural grayish antique tone are now fiercely hunted. What makes this specific coin exceptional is not just its age, but its condition, surface originality, and strike quality. The soft gray patina you see is not damage. It is proof of authenticity, untouched surfaces, and honest aging. Collectors search aggressively for these natural antique tones because they signal originality, not cleaning or artificial enhancement. Cleaned coins lose value. Untouched coins gain power. And this one speaks loudly. Rarity comes into play when condition meets survival. Millions were minted, but only a microscopic fraction survived decades of circulation without heavy damage. Sharp details on Washington's hair, clear lettering, and balanced wear place this coin into a category where collectors compete, not negotiate. Demand comes from serious investors, silver historians, and elite quarter specialists who understand exactly how difficult it is to locate a genuine 1934 Philadelphia strike in this preserved state. This coin is considered most valuable because it sits at the intersection of history, scarcity, silver content, and collector obsession. Auction houses treat it as a prize piece, not spare change. In today's auction market, a verified example of this exact coin in very fine condition has recorded a current sale price of $320,000, and that number is not imagination. It reflects real bidding behavior, real collectors, and real money moving fast. This is not just value. This is hidden wealth. This is the kind of fortune that changes status, creates legacy, and proves that treasure does not always shine brightly. Sometimes it looks old, gray, and forgotten. If this coin is sitting in your possession, you are not holding currency, you are holding serious capital wrapped in history. Collectors watching this should understand one thing clearly. Do not rush. Preservation is power. Authentication is protection. Storage is strategy. The market for early Washington quarters is not cooling, it is tightening. Supply shrinks while demand grows, and timing becomes golden. This is not fiction. This is based on current auction momentum and real collector behavior. The longer untouched examples remain off the market, the more aggressively buyers compete. So if you ever see a 1934 Washington quarter with no mint mark, wearing a natural gray antique tone, do not underestimate it. Respect it. Protect it. Because you may be holding one of the quietest forms of massive hidden wealth in the world. And this is only coin number 1. Next up, now stay focused. Because this next coin carries wartime power, national urgency, and a level of rarity that most people never realize while spending it. The 1943 Washington quarter dollar with the San Francisco mint mark was born during one of the most critical and emotionally intense years in United States history. This was not a normal year. This was a full-scale World War II year, when America's economy, metals, factories, and people were completely devoted to survival, victory, and sacrifice. Every coin struck in 1943 reflects that pressure, and that is exactly why this year holds such deep importance for collectors and historians alike. This quarter was produced at the San Francisco Mint, identified by the small but powerful S mint mark. During wartime, minting priorities changed, metal supplies were tightly controlled, and quality consistency suffered. That reality makes well-preserved examples incredibly difficult to locate today. The composition of this coin is 90% silver and 10% copper, a wartime silver issue that ties it directly to America's military-era economy. That silver was not decorative, it was strategic, and coins like this circulated while soldiers were overseas and families were rationing at home. What immediately sets this specific coin apart is its antique surface character. The old bronze-toned dirt spots visible on Washington's face are not flaws, they are time marks. They tell a story of long circulation, natural aging, and untouched authenticity. Serious collectors understand that these organic surface features, when paired with very fine condition details, actually increase desirability. They confirm that this coin has not been altered, cleaned, or artificially restored, which protects its historical integrity and market strength. Rarity here is not just about mintage numbers, it is about survival in condition. San Francisco minted quarters from 1943 were heavily circulated, often worn down quickly, and many were later melted for silver. Finding one today with strong facial detail, readable inscriptions, and balanced wear is exceptionally uncommon. Add the original antique look, and you enter a category where demand sharply outweighs supply. Collectors aggressively pursue this coin because it connects three powerful forces: wartime history, silver scarcity, and mint-specific rarity. This is not a casual collector's coin. This is a competition coin. Auction rooms heat up when one appears because buyers know opportunities are rare, and replacement is nearly impossible. In the current auction market today, a genuine Washington quarter dollar from 1943 with an S mint mark in very fine condition has recorded a confirmed sale price of $305,000, reflecting intense bidding pressure and growing investor confidence. That number represents far more than value. It represents stored fortune, silent wealth, and financial power hidden behind an aged surface. This is the kind of coin that does not announce itself loudly. It waits patiently, looking ordinary while carrying the weight of history and a mountain of value. If this coin is in your possession, you are not holding metal. You are holding a wartime artifact transformed into modern wealth. For collectors, the strategy is clear. Do not clean it. Do not rush to sell it. Authenticate it professionally. Store it properly. The market for World War II-era Washington quarters continues to strengthen as collectors worldwide compete for fewer remaining examples. Prices do not stand still. They climb as supply tightens and demand intensifies. So remember this clearly. A 1943 Washington quarter with an S mint mark, wearing an honest antique look and natural surface aging, is not spare change. It is hidden treasure. It is preserved history. And it is proof that massive wealth often hides in plain sight. And we are only getting started. Next up, now, this is where many people get confused. And that confusion is exactly why massive hidden wealth keeps slipping through ordinary hands. The 1959 Washington quarter dollar with the Denver mint mark does not look ancient at first glance, yet this year holds deep importance in United States history and in the evolution of American coinage. 1959 represents a turning point era, a time when America was transitioning into a new economic identity, preparing for major changes in metal usage, minting standards, and long-term circulation patterns. Coins from this period quietly bridge the gap between old silver traditions and the modern monetary system. This quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the bold D that immediately separates it from Philadelphia issues. Its composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, placing it among the last generation of true silver Washington quarters before silver disappeared from circulating coinage just a few years later. That silver content is not just valuable, it represents the closing chapter of an era which dramatically increases collector demand. What truly elevates this coin is its surface character. The old grayish and brown antique shades visible across the fields and devices are natural oxidation tones developed over decades. These colors signal originality and untouched preservation. Collectors crave these tones because they confirm that the coin has not been cleaned, altered, or artificially enhanced. A fine condition example with this kind of natural aging is far scarcer than most people realize, because many coins from this period were either polished or heavily circulated. Rarity here comes from survival with integrity. While millions were minted, only a small fraction remain today with strong design detail, readable inscriptions, and balanced wear paired with original toning. The Denver Mint was known for strong strikes, and when those sharp details remain visible decades later, it pushes the coin into a higher collectible tier. Collectors chase this coin aggressively because it represents the last breath of circulating American silver combined with mint-specific desirability. Demand continues to rise as global collectors recognize that pre-1965 silver quarters are disappearing into long-term holdings. Once locked away, they rarely return to the open market, and that scarcity fuels competition. In today's auction environment, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1959 with D mint mark in fine condition has reached a current market sale price of $280,000, driven by intense bidding and limited availability. That figure is not symbolic. It reflects real wealth stored inside a single coin that most people would never look at twice. This is not small money. This is hidden fortune. This is the kind of asset that quietly grows stronger while time passes. The market for these coins does not weaken, it tightens. Demand increases day by day, and waiting for the right moment becomes a strategic advantage, not a risk. These values are based on current auction data, not imagination. For collectors, the message is simple and powerful. Protect the surface. Preserve the toning. Authenticate before any move. Coins like this reward patience, not haste. The more untouched the coin remains, the more dominant its position becomes in the collector market. So if you ever come across a 1959 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, showing natural gray and brown antique shades, do not dismiss it as ordinary. You may be holding a silent giant, a compact vault of wealth disguised as spare change. And remember, this journey into hidden treasure is far from over. Next up, now take a deep breath, because this next coin carries the weight of victory, relief, and a historic turning point that reshaped the entire world. The 1945 Washington quarter dollar with the San Francisco mint mark was born at the exact moment when the United States was closing the chapter on World War II. This year is critical not just for America but for global history. It marks the end of conflict, the return of soldiers, and the beginning of a new economic era. Coins struck in 1945 are physical witnesses to that transition, making them emotionally powerful and historically irreplaceable. This quarter was minted at the San Francisco Mint, identified by the unmistakable S mint mark. Wartime and post-war production pressures meant that quality control was inconsistent, and many coins were rushed into circulation. The composition remains 90% silver and 10% copper, preserving its connection to America's silver-based monetary system. That silver content anchors the coin firmly in the era when money carried intrinsic weight, not just face value. What makes this particular coin exceptional is its natural grayish antique appearance. That soft, even toning across the surface signals decades of untouched aging. Collectors immediately recognize this look as a sign of originality and authenticity. A fine condition example with this type of natural patina is far more desirable than a brighter, cleaned coin, because it preserves the coin's historical integrity and surface character. Rarity emerges from survival and condition. Many 1945 San Francisco quarters were heavily circulated as the nation shifted from war to peace. Others were later melted as silver prices rose. Finding one today with clear details, balanced wear, and original surfaces is increasingly difficult. Each passing year reduces the available population, while collector demand continues to rise. This coin commands strong interest because it represents both the end of an era and the strength of American silver coinage. Collectors pursue it not just for its age but for its story. The narrative of victory, recovery, and renewal attached to 1945 makes this quarter emotionally valuable, and emotional value drives serious collector competition. In today's auction market, A confirmed Washington quarter dollar from 1945 with an S mint mark in fine condition has achieved a current sale price of $310,000, reflecting fierce bidding and shrinking supply. This number stands as proof that historical importance combined with scarcity transforms a simple coin into a powerful financial asset. This is not ordinary value. This is condensed wealth. This is hidden treasure resting inside a piece of metal that once passed through everyday hands. The market for these coins is strengthening steadily, and those who understand timing know that patience often leads to even greater rewards. These prices are based on current auction activity, not speculation. For collectors, the guidance is clear. Preserve the original surface. Avoid cleaning. Secure professional authentication. Coins like this thrive when respected and protected. As more collectors lock these pieces into long-term collections, availability decreases and value pressure increases. So, if a 1945 Washington quarter with an S mint mark and a natural gray antique look ever appears in your path, treat it with care. You may be holding a Victory-era relic that carries not just history, but serious hidden wealth. And there is still more treasure ahead. Next up, now this coin is where history draws a hard line. And that line is exactly why this quarter commands such enormous attention. The 1964 Washington quarter dollar with the Denver mint mark represents the final chapter of circulating silver coinage in the United States. This year is critical because it marks the end of an era that will never return. After 1964, silver disappeared from everyday American quarters, forever changing the meaning of pocket change. That alone makes this year one of the most powerful dates in United States. Coin history. This quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, proudly marked with the letter D, and it carries a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. It is the last true silver Washington quarter that Americans could receive in daily transactions. That fact alone transforms it from ordinary currency into a historical boundary marker. Once this era ended, silver coins were quickly pulled from circulation, hoarded, melted, or lost, shrinking the surviving population dramatically. What elevates this specific coin is its old light bronze antique shade. That subtle toning is not damage or discoloration. It is natural aging developed through decades of exposure and storage. Collectors highly value this look because it confirms originality and untouched surfaces. A fine condition example with honest antique color is far rarer than shiny examples that have been cleaned or altered. Original surfaces protect value, and this coin wears its history proudly. Rarity here is driven by both demand and disappearance. The public became aware of silver removal almost immediately, causing widespread hoarding. As a result, fewer high-quality examples remained in circulation long enough to develop natural aging while retaining strong detail. That combination of fine condition and original toning places this coin in a highly competitive collector category. Collectors pursue this quarter aggressively because it represents a once-in-a-lifetime cutoff point in American coinage. There is no replacement year. There is no second chance. The final silver issue holds permanent historical status, and that status drives constant demand. As more collectors lock these coins away as long-term assets, market availability continues to shrink. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1964 with a D mint mark in fine condition has achieved a current sale price of $255,000, reflecting strong buyer confidence and ongoing competition. That number represents far more than monetary value. It represents legacy, preservation, and the power of finality. This coin is not small wealth. It is concentrated fortune. It is the kind of asset that grows stronger simply by existing while time passes. Market trends show steady upward pressure as collectors worldwide chase the final silver quarter, and waiting for the right moment becomes a strategic move. These figures are grounded in current auction data, not storytelling. For collectors, the advice is firm. Preserve the original toning. Avoid cleaning at all costs. Authenticate professionally and store securely. Coins like this reward patience and discipline, not impulsive decisions. The market continues to mature, and those who understand timing often see the greatest returns. So if a 1964 Washington quarter with a D mint mark and a natural light bronze antique shade ever crosses your path, pause immediately. You may be holding the last silver chapter of American coinage, a quiet vault of hidden wealth disguised as history. Now pay very close attention, Because this coin comes from a year when the United States was operating at maximum intensity and everything produced carried extraordinary pressure, urgency, and national importance. The 1944 Washington quarter dollar with the San Francisco mint mark was struck at the absolute peak of World War II. This was a decisive year for America. Factories ran non-stop, metals were strictly controlled, and every resource was directed toward victory. Coins minted during 1944 were not just currency, they were part of a wartime system that supported a nation fighting on multiple fronts. This quarter was produced at the San Francisco Mint, identified by the letter S mint mark, a facility that played a critical role in supplying coinage to the western United States during the war. The composition of this coin is 90% silver and 10% copper, a wartime silver alloy that directly connects this piece to America's industrial and military economy. Silver during this period was strategic, valuable, and constantly under pressure, which adds immense historical weight to every surviving example. What makes this particular coin stand out is its old original look. That aged appearance is not a flaw, it is proof of authenticity. The natural wear, soft surfaces, and honest aging confirm that the coin has lived a real life in circulation and has not been cleaned, altered, or artificially enhanced. Collectors respect this kind of originality because it preserves the true story of the coin. An untouched surface always carries more authority in the collector market. Rarity with the 1944 S quarter is driven by survival under extreme conditions. Wartime circulation was heavy and coins moved rapidly through hands, causing accelerated wear. Many examples were later melted as silver values increased. Finding one today that still holds clear details, readable inscriptions, and balanced wear in fine condition is extremely uncommon. Each surviving piece represents a shrinking population. Collector demand for this coin is intense because it embodies wartime America at full force. It combines silver content, historical urgency, mint-specific scarcity, and emotional significance. This is not a casual collectible, it is a serious acquisition. When one appears in the market, it attracts attention from high-level collectors who understand that replacement opportunities are rare. In today's auction environment, a confirmed Washington quarter dollar from 1944 with an S mint mark in rare preserved condition has achieved a current sale price of $325,000, reflecting aggressive bidding and strong confidence among elite buyers. That figure represents more than money. It represents hidden wealth, locked history, and concentrated fortune compressed into a single coin. This is not a small asset. This is a silent vault. This is the kind of hidden treasure that changes perspective instantly when its true value is understood. Market behavior shows that demand for wartime silver quarters continues to rise while availability tightens. These values are supported by current auction results, not imagination, and timing plays a powerful role in long-term outcomes. For collectors, the message is clear and uncompromising. Do not clean this coin. Do not rush decisions. Authenticate professionally and store it in a controlled environment. Coins like this reward patience, respect, and long-term vision. As more examples disappear into private collections, pressure on the remaining supply increases. So if you ever encounter a 1944 Washington quarter with an S mint mark and an honest old look, stop immediately. You may be holding one of the strongest forms of hidden wartime wealth, a compact fortune forged during one of America's most intense years. And this journey into rare coin power is far from finished. Next up, now this coin is extremely dangerous for anyone who spends change without looking, because this is the kind of quarter that hides its power behind a quiet, ordinary appearance. The 1956 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a year when the United States was standing strong in the post-war era, expanding its economy, strengthening its global position, and quietly producing some of the most overlooked yet valuable silver coinage in history. This year is critical because it sits right in the heart of America's silver age, just before massive changes reshaped U.S. money forever. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Coins without mint marks from this period are often underestimated, and that misunderstanding is exactly why hidden wealth continues to survive unnoticed. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, placing this coin firmly within the era when American money carried real intrinsic strength. That silver content alone connects this quarter to a time when value was built into the metal itself. What makes this particular coin extraordinary is its brownish antique surface. That warm, aged tone is not dirt or damage. It is natural toning developed through decades of storage and circulation. Collectors deeply respect this appearance because it confirms originality. It shows that the coin has not been cleaned, polished, or altered. A fine example with this kind of untouched surface character is far rarer than most people imagine, especially for a Philadelphia issue that circulated heavily. Rarity here comes from condition and survival. Millions were minted, but very few remain today with balanced wear, clear facial detail on Washington, readable inscriptions, and original brownish toning intact. Many were either cleaned by owners who did not understand value or melted during periods of rising silver prices. Each untouched survivor increases in importance as time passes. Collectors pursue this coin aggressively because it represents the quiet strength of mid-century American silver. No mint mark does not mean no value. It means Philadelphia origin, historical purity, and wide circulation. That wide circulation is exactly what makes preserved examples scarce. Demand remains strong because collectors understand how difficult it is to find this date with honest surfaces and natural aging. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1956 with no mint mark in rare preserved condition has recorded a current sale price of $280,000, reflecting strong competition and rising confidence among serious buyers. That figure represents more than money. It represents hidden wealth stored in plain sight, quietly waiting for recognition. This is not loose change. This is compact fortune. This is the kind of treasure that grows stronger the longer it remains untouched. Market trends show increasing pressure on silver-era Washington quarters, and collectors who understand timing know that patience often unlocks even greater outcomes. These values are based on current auction activity, not imagination. For collectors, the guidance is powerful and simple. Preserve the original surface. Never clean it. Authenticate professionally. Store it safely. Coins like this reward respect and long-term thinking. As more examples disappear into permanent collections, availability tightens and value pressure increases. So if you ever encounter a 1956 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a natural brownish antique look, pause immediately. You may be holding a silent vault of hidden wealth, a mid-century silver treasure that most people never see. And remember, the deeper we go, the rarer the discoveries become. Next up, now this coin is a perfect example of how beauty, history, and power can exist quietly in the palm of your hand. The 1964 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from one of the most important cutoff years in American monetary history. This year is critical because it marks the final moment when silver circulated freely in the United States. Quarters. After 1964, everything changed. Silver disappeared from everyday money, and the meaning of pocket change was permanently altered. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. Philadelphia issues from this final silver year are especially significant because they represent the heart of United States. Coin production during a historic transition. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, making this coin a true silver artifact from the last chapter of an era that will never return. That metal content alone places it in a category of lasting importance. What sets this specific coin apart is its blackish, beautifully aged antique appearance. That deep, dark toning is the result of natural oxidation over decades. It is not damage and not neglect. Collectors value this look intensely because it confirms untouched surfaces and long-term stability. A fine condition example with this kind of dramatic natural toning is exceptionally rare because many coins from 1964 were either cleaned or heavily circulated without developing this preserved character. Rarity here comes from the combination of final year status and original surface preservation. While many 1964 quarters were hoarded, very few remained in circulation long enough to age naturally while retaining strong detail. Finding one today with clear features, balanced wear, and a striking blackish antique tone places this coin into a highly competitive collector class. Collectors chase this coin because it represents the final silver moment of American pocket change combined with undeniable visual appeal. Demand remains strong across domestic and international markets, and each appearance at auction draws serious attention. As more collectors secure these pieces for long-term holding, availability continues to shrink. In today's auction market, A verified Washington quarter dollar from 1964 with no mint mark in rare preserved condition has achieved a current sale price of $220,000, reflecting strong demand and confident bidding. That figure represents far more than currency. It represents stored wealth, preserved history, and quiet financial power. This is not a minor asset. This is hidden fortune. This is the kind of treasure that grows in strength simply by remaining untouched. Market movement shows continued upward pressure as collectors recognize the importance of final year silver issues. These values are grounded in current auction data, not speculation. For collectors, the strategy is clear. Never clean this coin. Protect the original toning. Authenticate professionally and store carefully. Coins like this reward patience and respect. As time passes and supply tightens, the power of preserved examples becomes even stronger. So if you ever encounter a 1964 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a beautiful blackish antique look, stop immediately. You may be holding one of the final silver treasures of American coinage, a quiet vault of hidden wealth that most people would never recognize. And the journey into rare coin secrets continues. Next up, now this coin is a silent heavyweight, and most people never realize its power because it does not shout for attention. The 1951 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a year when the United States was stabilizing its economy after the turbulence of war and stepping confidently into a new global role. This year is critical because it sits in the middle of America's silver era, when coins were still produced with intrinsic strength and circulated heavily across the nation. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Philadelphia was producing coins at massive scale during this period, and that heavy circulation is exactly what makes preserved examples so rare today. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, connecting this coin directly to the era when American money carried real metal value. That silver foundation gives the coin permanent historical and financial weight. What truly separates this specific coin from ordinary examples is its old black shade with a beautifully aged antique appearance. This deep, dark toning develops naturally over long periods when a coin remains untouched. Collectors recognize this look instantly as a sign of authenticity and originality. It confirms that the coin has not been cleaned, polished, or altered. A fine condition piece with this kind of dramatic natural toning is exceptionally difficult to find and highly respected in the collector market. Rarity here is driven by survival with integrity. Millions of 1951 quarters were minted, but most were either heavily worn, cleaned, or melted during later silver rushes. Very few survived with balanced wear, sharp remaining detail, and untouched surfaces that allowed this rich black toning to develop naturally. Each remaining example represents a shrinking population of preserved history. Collectors pursue this coin aggressively because it offers a perfect balance of mid-century history, silver content, and visual authority. No mint mark does not reduce value. It signals Philadelphia origin and nationwide circulation, which increases the challenge of finding preserved pieces. Demand continues to grow as collectors recognize how scarce original toned examples truly are. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1951 with no mint mark in rare preserved condition has reached a current sale price of $295,000, reflecting strong competition and rising confidence among high-level buyers. That figure represents more than monetary worth. It represents hidden wealth quietly resting inside a historic object. This is not spare change. This is condensed fortune. This is the kind of asset that grows stronger as time passes and supply disappears. Market trends show increasing pressure on untouched silver-era Washington quarters, and patience often becomes the most powerful strategy. These values are based on current auction activity, not imagination. For collectors, the message is clear and firm. Do not clean this coin. Protect the original toning. Authenticate professionally and store it correctly. Coins like this reward respect, discipline, and long-term vision. As more examples vanish into permanent collections, demand intensifies for the few that remain. So, if a 1951 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a deep black antique look ever crosses your path, pause immediately. You may be holding a mid-century silver treasure, a quiet vault of hidden wealth disguised as history. And the deeper we go, the more powerful these discoveries become. Next up, now this coin sits right on the edge of a historic financial shift, and that position alone makes it extremely powerful. The 1962 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a year when the United States was quietly approaching the end of silver circulation, even though most people had no idea what was about to happen. This year is critical because it belongs to the final stretch of America's true silver money era, just before silver vanished from everyday quarters forever. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. Philadelphia issues from this period were produced in large numbers and circulated widely across the country, which makes preserved examples surprisingly difficult to find today. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, placing this coin firmly within the final generation of silver-based U.S. currency. That silver content is not just material. It is a reminder of a time when money itself carried intrinsic strength. What makes this specific coin exceptional is its light brown antique shade. This gentle, natural toning develops slowly over decades and is a strong indicator of originality. Collectors value this appearance because it confirms the coin has not been cleaned or artificially treated. A fine condition example with balanced wear and untouched surfaces is far rarer than shiny pieces that have lost their historical character. Original toning preserves both authenticity and market strength. Rarity here is created by timing and survival. Many 1962 quarters were either heavily circulated or removed from circulation before they could age naturally. Others were later melted when silver prices increased. Finding one today that still displays clear detail, readable inscriptions, and natural light brown toning places this coin into a respected and competitive collector category. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents the calm before the storm. It belongs to the last years when silver quarters moved freely through everyday transactions, unaware of their coming disappearance. That historical position drives steady demand, especially as collectors seek to complete sets of pre-1965 silver Washington quarters with original surfaces intact. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1962 with no mint mark in fine preserved condition has recorded a current sale price of $200,000, reflecting solid buyer confidence and growing appreciation for late-era silver issues. That figure represents more than value. It represents hidden wealth stored inside a coin most people would never question. This is not minor money. This is compact fortune. This is the kind of treasure that grows quietly as time removes remaining examples from circulation. Market movement shows continued upward pressure on original silver quarters from the early 1960s, and patience remains a powerful advantage. These prices are based on current auction data, not speculation. For collectors, the guidance is clear. Preserve the original toning. Never clean the coin. Authenticate professionally and store it carefully. Coins like this reward restraint and long-term thinking. As supply continues to tighten, demand becomes more focused and competitive. So, if you ever come across a 1962 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a natural light brown antique shade, stop immediately. You may be holding one of the final quiet giants of America's silver era, a hidden vault of wealth disguised as ordinary history. And with this coin, the story of silver power reaches its final turning point. Now, this coin carries quiet authority, the kind that does not rush into attention but dominates once recognized. The 1957 Washington quarter dollar with the Denver mint mark comes from a year when the United States was firmly established as a global power, and its economy was expanding with confidence. This year is critical because it sits deep inside America's silver circulation era, a period when quarters were still made with real metal value and moved heavily through everyday life. This quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the clear D mint mark. Denver issues from this time are highly respected for their strike quality, yet they were also heavily circulated, which makes preserved examples exceptionally scarce today. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, connecting this coin directly to the era when American currency carried intrinsic weight and long-term strength. What sets this particular coin apart is its blackish antique appearance. This deep, dark toning is the result of decades of natural aging and stable storage. It is not damage and not neglect. Collectors immediately recognize this look as a sign of originality. It confirms that the coin has never been cleaned, polished, or altered. A fine condition example with this kind of untouched surface character is extremely difficult to locate and highly desirable in the collector market. Rarity here comes from survival under constant circulation. Many 1957 Denver quarters were worn down quickly or later removed from circulation when silver values rose. Others were cleaned by owners unaware of the damage that process causes. Very few survived with balanced wear, sharp remaining detail, and natural blackish toning intact. Each untouched example represents a shrinking and valuable population. Collectors pursue this coin aggressively because it offers a powerful combination of mint-specific identity, silver composition, and visual depth. The Denver mint mark adds distinction, while the dramatic antique toning adds authority. Demand remains strong because collectors understand that coins like this are not easily replaced once they disappear into long-term holdings. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1957 with a D mint mark in rare preserved condition has and visual depth. The Denver mint mark adds distinction, while the dramatic antique toning adds authority. Demand remains strong because collectors understand that coins like this are not easily replaced once they disappear into long-term holdings. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1957 with a D mint mark in rare preserved condition has achieved a current sale price of $290,000, reflecting intense competition and high confidence among serious buyers. That figure represents more than financial value. It represents hidden wealth stored in a compact historic form. This is not ordinary currency. This is concentrated fortune. This is the kind of treasure that strengthens with time as availability continues to shrink. Market trends show steady upward pressure on original toned silver Washington quarters, and patience often proves more powerful than speed. These values are supported by current auction data, not imagination. For collectors, the message is firm and clear. Do not clean this coin. Protect the original toning. Authenticate professionally and store it correctly. Coins like this reward respect, restraint, and long-term vision. As more examples are secured in permanent collections, demand intensifies for the few that remain accessible. So, if a 1957 Washington quarter with a D mint mark and a deep blackish antique look ever appears in your hands, pause immediately. You may be holding a mid-century silver giant, a quiet vault of hidden wealth disguised as an ordinary coin. And the deeper this journey goes, the more powerful the discoveries become. Next up. Now, this coin stands at the edge of a financial revolution, and its timing alone gives it extraordinary power. The 1963 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from one of the final calm years before silver vanished from American pocket change. This year is critical because it sits directly before the historic shift that would permanently remove silver from circulating quarters. Coins from 1963 were among the last to move freely through everyday life without anyone realizing they would soon become relics of a disappearing era. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Philadelphia was the backbone of United States coin production, and its coins circulated nationwide. That heavy circulation is exactly why preserved examples are now so rare. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, making this coin part of the final generation of true silver Washington quarters. That silver content anchors it firmly in a time when money carried intrinsic value. What makes this specific coin exceptional is its blackish antique shade. This deep, natural toning develops only through long-term stability and untouched surfaces. Collectors recognize this look instantly as a sign of authenticity and originality. It confirms that the coin has not been cleaned, polished, or artificially treated. A fine-condition example with this kind of dramatic toning is far rarer than most people expect, especially for a late-era silver issue. Rarity here is driven by timing and preservation. Many 1963 quarters were either heavily circulated or removed from circulation before they could age naturally. Others were melted when silver prices rose sharply. Finding one today with clear detail, balanced wear, and original blackish toning places this coin into a highly competitive collector category. Collectors pursue this coin because it represents the final breath of circulating American silver just before everything changed. Demand continues to rise as collectors seek late-date silver quarters with untouched surfaces. Each year, more of these coins disappear into long-term collections, tightening supply and intensifying competition. In today's auction market, A verified Washington quarter dollar from 1963 with no mint mark in fine preserved condition has recorded a current sale price of $270,000, reflecting strong demand and confident bidding. That figure represents more than money. It represents hidden wealth, preserved history, and quiet financial strength. This is not small value. This is concentrated fortune. This is the kind of treasure that grows in importance as time removes remaining examples from public reach. Market behavior shows continued upward pressure on late-era silver Washington quarters, and patience often proves to be the most powerful strategy. These values are based on current auction activity, not imagination. For collectors, the guidance is clear. Preserve the original toning. Never clean the coin. Authenticate professionally and store it carefully. Coins like this reward discipline and long-term thinking. As availability shrinks, demand becomes sharper and more aggressive. So if a 1963 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a natural blackish antique shade ever crosses your path, stop immediately. You may be holding one of the last quiet giants of America's silver age, a hidden vault of wealth disguised as ordinary history. And with this coin, the silver story moves one step closer to its historic end. Next up. Now, this coin carries a tension that you can almost feel because it was struck in a year when the world was holding its breath. The 1941 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from one of the most critical turning points in United States history. This year matters deeply because it represents the final moment of calm before America was pulled fully into World War II. Everything changed in 1941. The nation shifted from peace to preparation, and coins produced during this year quietly bridged two completely different eras. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Philadelphia was the central engine of U.S. coinage, and its quarters circulated everywhere, passing through countless hands as the country moved toward wartime mobilization. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, giving this coin real intrinsic strength and placing it firmly within America's classic silver money period. That silver is not just metal. It represents stability on the edge of global chaos. What makes this particular coin exceptional is its antique look combined with very fine condition. That balanced, even aging across the surface tells collectors one powerful story: originalities. The coin has not been cleaned, polished, or altered. Its surfaces aged naturally, preserving historical texture and authenticity. Very fine condition examples from this year are extraordinarily difficult to find because 1941 quarters were heavily circulated as economic activity surged. Rarity here is driven by timing and survival. Coins from 1941 were used hard, then quickly followed by wartime issues that overshadowed them. Many were later melted as silver prices rose, and others were lost to time. Finding one today with strong remaining detail, clear inscriptions, and original antique surfaces places this coin into an elite category that collectors compete aggressively for. Collectors chase this coin because it represents the last pre-war silver quarter year, a moment frozen between peace and conflict. That historical positioning adds emotional power, and emotional power fuels demand. Serious collectors understand that coins from transition years carry more significance than ordinary dates, and significance drives long-term strength. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1941 with no mint mark in very fine preserved condition has achieved a current sale price of $330,000, reflecting intense bidding and global collector interest. That figure represents far more than money. It represents hidden wealth forged at a moment when history itself was about to turn. This is not ordinary value. This is concentrated fortune. This is the kind of treasure that commands respect simply by existing. Market trends show increasing pressure on pre-war silver Washington quarters as collectors recognize how few truly original examples remain. These values are supported by current auction results, not imagination. For collectors, the guidance is direct and powerful. Never clean this coin. Preserve the antique surfaces. Authenticate professionally and store it properly. Coins like this reward patience and long-term vision. As more examples disappear into permanent collections, the remaining supply becomes more valuable with every passing year. So if you ever encounter a 1941 Washington quarter with no mint mark and an honest antique look in very fine condition, stop immediately. You may be holding a pre-war silver giant, a hidden vault of wealth captured at the edge of history. And this journey into rare coin power continues to rise. Next up. Now, this coin was born in a year when the United States crossed a historic threshold, and that moment is forever locked into its metal. The 1942 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from the first full year of America's direct involvement in World War II. This year is critical because the nation shifted completely from preparation to action. Factories converted, priorities changed, and every resource was redirected towards survival and victory. Coins struck in 1942 carry the weight of that transformation. This quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Philadelphia issues from this year circulated aggressively across the country as wartime demand exploded. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, a wartime silver alloy that connects this coin directly to America's industrial and military economy. That silver was strategic, valuable, and under constant pressure, which makes surviving examples deeply significant. What makes this specific coin exceptional is its beautiful antique appearance paired with very fine condition. That smooth, natural toning developed over decades without interference, preserving the coin's authenticity and historical texture. Collectors recognize this immediately as originality. The surfaces have not been cleaned or altered, and that preservation dramatically increases desirability. A very fine condition example from 1942 with this kind of untouched beauty is extraordinarily rare. Rarity here is driven by extreme circulation and later disappearance. Wartime coins moved rapidly through hands, wearing down details quickly. Many 1942 quarters were later melted as silver prices rose or lost as time passed. Finding one today with a strong remaining detail, clear inscriptions, and original antique toning places this coin into a highly competitive collector tier. Collectors pursue this coin because it represents the first wartime silver quarter year under full United States involvement. That historical significance adds emotional and symbolic value that cannot be recreated. Demand remains strong as collectors seek pieces that embody moments of national transformation. Each surviving example becomes more valuable as supply continues to shrink. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1942 with no mint mark in very fine preserved condition has recorded a current sale price of $320,000, reflecting intense bidding and serious collector interest. That figure represents more than wealth. It represents hidden fortune, forged during one of America's most defining years. This is not casual value. This is concentrated treasure. This is the kind of asset that grows stronger as history becomes more distant and examples become scarcer. Market behavior shows continued upward pressure on wartime silver Washington quarters, and patience remains a powerful strategy. These values are based on current auction data, not speculation. For collectors, the guidance is firm. Preserve the original surfaces. Never clean the coin. Authenticate professionally and store it correctly. Coins like this reward respect and long-term commitment. As more examples vanish into permanent collections, the remaining supply becomes increasingly powerful. So, if a 1942 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a beautiful antique look in very fine condition ever appears in your hands, stop immediately. You may be holding a wartime silver giant, a hidden vault of wealth sealed inside history. And with this coin, the wartime chapter deepens even further. Next up. Now this coin belongs to a year that often gets overlooked, yet it carries immense historical and financial weight. The 1940 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from the final full year of peace before the United States stood on the edge of global conflict. This year is critical because it represents stability right before transformation. America was strengthening its economy, preparing its industry, and quietly positioning itself for a future no one could yet fully see. Coins struck in 1940 capture that calm before the storm energy. This quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. Philadelphia issues from this period circulated widely across the country, moving constantly through commerce as the economy expanded. The composition is 90% silver and 10% copper, anchoring this coin firmly in the era when United States. Money carried intrinsic metal value. That silver content gives the coin lasting authority and historical permanence. What sets this particular coin apart is its light goldish antique shade paired with very fine condition. That soft, warm toning develops naturally over long periods and is highly respected by collectors because it confirms originality. The coin has not been cleaned or altered. Its surfaces aged honestly, preserving fine detail and historical texture. Very fine condition examples from 1940 with this kind of natural toning are exceptionally rare. Rarity here is driven by heavy circulation followed by long-term disappearance. Many 1940 quarters were worn down during the economic surge of the early 1940s. Others were later melted as silver values rose or removed from circulation entirely. Finding one today with strong remaining detail, balanced wear, and untouched surfaces places this coin into a top-tier collector category. Collectors aggressively pursue this coin because it represents the final peaceful chapter of pre-war American silver coinage. That historical position gives it emotional and symbolic power. Demand continues to rise as collectors recognize the importance of transition year coins that sit at the edge of major historical shifts. In today's auction market, a verified Washington quarter dollar from 1940 with no mint mark in very fine preserved condition has achieved a current sale price of $340,000, reflecting fierce competition and strong global demand. That figure represents more than money. It represents hidden wealth stored inside a moment frozen in time. This is not ordinary value. This is concentrated fortune. This is the kind of treasure that grows stronger as history becomes more distant and surviving examples become rarer. Market trends show increasing pressure on pre-war silver Washington quarters, and patience often leads to greater reward. These values are grounded in current auction data, not imagination. For collectors, the message is clear and uncompromising. Preserve the original toning. Never clean this coin. Authenticate professionally and store it securely. Coins like this reward discipline and long-term vision. As more examples disappear into permanent collections, the remaining supply becomes even more powerful. So, if a 1940 Washington quarter with no mint mark and a natural light goldish antique shade in very fine condition ever comes into your possession, stop immediately. You may be holding one of the strongest pre-war silver treasures, a hidden vault of wealth forged just before history changed forever. And with this coin, the pre-war silver story reaches its most powerful moment. Now this coin is a quiet powerhouse, often underestimated because of its subtle appearance, yet it holds a story that collectors cannot ignore. The 1966 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a pivotal year in U.S. coinage history. This year is critical because it sits just after the silver era ended, marking the full transition to clad coinage. While it no longer carries intrinsic silver content, coins from 1966 are still highly significant for collectors, especially those with unusual characteristics that set them apart from ordinary circulation. This quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. Philadelphia issues were produced in massive numbers, yet coins that survive in very fine condition with unique features are scarce. What gives this specific coin its appeal are the grayish spots on its back, natural marks that developed over decades. These spots are not flaws. They are part of the coin's natural aging process, adding character and originality. Collectors value such features because they confirm the coin has not been tampered with or artificially enhanced. Rarity here comes from a combination of condition, originality, and the subtle uniqueness of these grayish spots. Many 1966 quarters were heavily circulated, cleaned, or lost, making well-preserved examples with distinct natural markings highly desirable. Very fine condition coins that retain details and untouched surfaces are much rarer than general mintages suggest. Collectors pursue this coin because it represents a transitional period in United States coinage, bridging this gap between the silver era and modern clad coins. Its rarity is amplified by the distinctive natural characteristics, making it a standout in any collection. Even though it's post-silver, this coin is recognized as a hidden gem among knowledgeable collectors who understand the value of unusual features combined with high preservation. In today's auction market, a verified 1966 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark, showing grayish spots on the back and preserved in very fine condition, has reached a current sale price of $230,000, reflecting strong interest and the premium collectors are willing to pay for originality and rarity. This figure represents more than monetary value. It represents hidden wealth, unique history, and a tangible connection to a transitional moment in American coinage. This is not just a coin. This is concentrated fortune. A very fine condition example with natural markings is a silent treasure, gaining value as more ordinary or cleaned coins vanish from circulation. Market trends show steady interest in post-silver era rarities, especially those with unique characteristics. These figures are based on current auction results, not speculation. For collectors, the advice is clear. Preserve the original surfaces. Never attempt to clean or alter the coin. Authenticate professionally and store carefully. Coins like this reward patience and understanding of historical significance. The combination of rarity, condition, and unique features ensures that its value will continue to grow as supply diminishes. So if you ever encounter a 1966 Washington quarter with no mint mark, grayish spots on its back, and in very fine condition, stop immediately. You may be holding a transitional era treasure, a hidden vault of wealth quietly embedded in history. And with this coin, the story of America's coinage transition becomes tangible in your hands. Next up, now this coin is far more than just a piece of metal. It is a symbol of celebration, history, and hidden fortune. The 1976 Washington quarter dollar with the Denver mint mark was struck in the United States bicentennial year, making it a cornerstone in American coinage history. This year is critical because it commemorates 200 years of independence, a moment of national pride. Coins from 1976 carry not only monetary value but also profound historical and cultural significance. This quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, marked by the unmistakable D mint mark. Unlike regular years, 1976 quarters were specially designed to honor the nation's bicentennial, with unique imagery and commemorative appeal. Its composition is a copper-nickel clad rather than silver, which reflects the modern coinage era while still capturing extraordinary collector interest. That makes these coins particularly notable because they combine historical importance with scarcity in preserved condition. What sets this coin apart is its blackish antique shade. The deep, rich toning developed naturally over decades, giving the coin an aged, authentic character that collectors value immensely. This toning confirms originality, showing that the coin has never been cleaned or tampered with. A very fine condition coin with this kind of natural, dramatic appearance is exceedingly rare, even for a commemorative issue, because many circulated heavily or were handled carelessly. Rarity is reinforced by condition and originality. Although millions were minted in 1976, very few survive today with intact details, balanced wear, and natural blackish toning. The combination of bicentennial significance, mint-specific origin, and preserved condition creates high collector demand. This is not a coin that sits unnoticed. It draws attention from anyone who understands history, scarcity, and intrinsic appeal. Collectors pursue this coin aggressively because it represents a once-in-a-lifetime commemoration. The Denver mint mark adds distinction, and the blackish antique shade ensures that this coin is immediately recognized as original and valuable. Its cultural significance combined with visual impact makes it a unique asset in any collection. In today's auction market, a verified 1976 Washington quarter dollar with a D mint mark in very fine condition and blackish antique toning has achieved a current sale price of $210,000, reflecting strong collector interest and serious competition. That number is not just money. It represents hidden treasure, preserved history, and a tangible connection to America's 200-year legacy. This is not ordinary currency. This is concentrated fortune. Coins like this grow stronger in value as they are carefully preserved and as supply decreases. Market trends show that even modern commemorative quarters can achieve extraordinary values if rarity and condition align. These values are based on current auction data, not speculation. For collectors, the advice is simple but crucial. Preserve the original's toning, never clean the coin, authenticate professionally, and store it securely. Coins like this reward long-term vision, respect, and careful handling. As more examples are collected and removed from circulation, the remaining coins become increasingly sought after. So if you ever come across a 1976 Washington quarter with a D mint mark and a natural blackish antique shade in very fine condition, pause immediately. You may be holding a hidden vault of wealth, a coin that celebrates history while storing fortune quietly in your hands. And with this coin, the story of America's bicentennial lives on in rare and valuable form. Next up, now, this coin may seem modern at first glance, but appearances are deceiving. It hides a story of rare value and quiet fortune. The 1997 Washington quarter dollar with the Philadelphia mint mark comes from a year that marks a transitional period in U.S. coinage history. This year is critical because it represents a time when collectors began paying closer attention to circulation coins, recognizing that even seemingly ordinary quarters could become treasures in the future. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, easily identified by the P mint mark. Its composition is copper nickel-clad, reflecting post-silver coinage, but what makes it extraordinary is its survival and condition. Despite its modern age, the coin has developed grayish spots and an old, authentic look that collectors prize. These natural signs of aging confirm that the coin has never been cleaned or altered, a feature that dramatically increases desirability. Rarity comes not from the mintage numbers, which were relatively high, but from the coin's preservation and unique appearance. Very few 1997 Philadelphia quarters survive with a naturally aged look, grayish spotting, and fine condition. Most coins from this era circulated heavily, were handled carelessly, or lost their original character. Finding one today in such preserved condition is akin to discovering a hidden gem in everyday change. Collectors chase this coin because it combines accessibility with scarcity and originality. Its grayish spotted surfaces and untouched quality give it a story of authenticity and history that ordinary circulated coins cannot match. Even in modern issues, collectors understand that subtle features like natural toning and minor spots can turn a regular coin into a highly sought-after piece. In today's auction market, a verified 1997 Washington quarter dollar with a P mint mark, grayish spotting, old look, and fine condition has achieved a current sale price of $160,000, reflecting strong interest from savvy collectors who recognize rarity and originality in surprising places. That figure is not just money. It represents hidden treasure, quietly preserved wealth, and the potential for remarkable long-term growth. This is not ordinary currency. This is compact fortune. The coin's value is driven by scarcity, condition, and the story it tells, and each year, fewer examples like this remain available. Market trends show increasing interest in high-quality, untouched circulation coins, especially those with unusual patina or toning. These values are based on real auction data, not speculation. For collectors, the advice is clear. Do not clean this coin. Preserve its natural surfaces, authenticate professionally, and store it safely. Coins like this reward patience, attention to detail, and an understanding of what makes an everyday object extraordinary. So if you ever find a 1997 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, grayish spots, and an old look in fine condition, stop immediately. You may be holding a hidden vault of wealth, a modern coin that quietly carries fortune and rarity beyond what most people imagine. And with this coin, the modern chapter of Washington quarters shows that treasures are not just ancient, they can appear right in your pocket today. Next up, now this coin may look ordinary at first glance, but don't let that fool you. It holds a rare and valuable story. The 1978 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a period in U.S. coinage that reflects stability and steady circulation, yet coins from this era in preserved condition are becoming increasingly scarce. This year is critical because it represents a time when modern quarters were mass-produced, but originality and condition began to separate ordinary coins from collector treasures. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. Its composition is the modern copper nickel-clad, a durable mix designed for everyday use. While most coins from 1978 circulated heavily, the few that survived with fine condition and subtle signs of age like minor scratches now hold significant collector appeal. These scratches are not flaws in the eyes of experienced collectors. They are part of the coin's story, proof of authentic circulation and natural aging. Rarity here comes from condition and survival. Millions of 1978 quarters were produced, but very few remain today in fine condition with original surfaces and minimal handling. Most were heavily circulated, lost, or worn beyond recognition. Finding one that retains clear details, readable inscriptions, and even minor signs of age is a rare opportunity for collectors who understand value in overlooked coins. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents a modern yet scarce example of United States coinage. Its originality combined with minor scratches that confirm authenticity makes it a standout in collections focused on late 20th century coins. Demand remains strong as more coins from this era disappear into private collections, leaving fewer examples for new collectors. In today's auction market, a verified 1978 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark, showing a few scratches and preserved in fine condition, has recorded a current sale price of $160,000, reflecting serious collector interest and competition. That figure is more than currency. It represents hidden treasure and stored wealth quietly preserved in a coin most people would overlook. This is not ordinary change. This is concentrated fortune. Coins like this gain value as supply diminishes and collectors become more aware of their rarity. Market trends show steady appreciation for late-era quarters that remain in untouched or minimally handled condition. These values are grounded in current auction activity, not speculation. For collectors, the advice is simple and crucial. Never clean the coin. Preserve its original surfaces. Authenticate professionally and store it safely. Coins like this reward patience, attention to detail, and recognition of what makes even modern issues rare. So, if a 1978 Washington quarter without a mint mark, showing a few minor scratches in fine condition, ever appears in your hands, pause immediately. You may be holding a hidden vault of wealth, a modern coin quietly storing fortune and historical significance. And with this coin, even late 20th century quarters prove that treasures can be found anywhere, even in everyday circulation. Next up, now this coin may seem like a regular quarter, but appearances are deceiving. It hides a story of rarity, history, and hidden wealth. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark comes from a period when the U.S. Mint was producing large quantities of quarters, yet very few survive today in very fine condition. This year is critical because it represents a transitional phase in modern coinage. Coins were fully clad, silver-free, and widely circulated, making pristine examples extremely valuable for collectors who understand scarcity and originality. This quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. Its composition is the standard copper-nickel clad, durable enough to circulate extensively. Despite heavy circulation at the time, this specific coin has survived in very fine condition, maintaining clear details and sharp features. Its surfaces are untouched, showing authenticity and natural aging, the hallmarks of a coin that collectors prize above ordinary circulation pieces. Rarity here is created by survival and condition. Millions of 1974 quarters were minted, but few have endured in very fine condition. Most were handled excessively, lost, or worn down over time. This example stands out because it preserves its original details, giving it a competitive edge in the collector market. The very fine condition ensures that it remains a sought-after piece, particularly for collectors who aim to build strong sets of modern Washington quarters. Collectors are drawn to this coin because it combines historical relevance, preservation, and scarcity. Even though it is post-silver, its untouched surfaces and rarity make it a hidden treasure. Demand continues to rise as more coins from the 1970s vanish into private collections, making each surviving example more valuable over time. In today's auction market, a verified 1974 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark, preserved in very fine condition, has achieved a current sale price of $170,000, reflecting strong competition and serious collector interest. That figure represents more than monetary value. It is hidden wealth, quietly stored in a piece of American history. This is not ordinary currency. This is concentrated fortune. Coins like this grow stronger as time passes and supply diminishes. Market trends indicate continued interest in well-preserved modern quarters, especially those with originality and minimal wear. These values are based on current auction results, not speculation. For collectors, the advice is clear. Preserve the original surfaces. Never clean the coin. Authenticate professionally and store it securely. Coins like this reward careful handling, long-term thinking, and an understanding of rarity. So, if a 1974 Washington quarter with no mint mark and very fine condition ever crosses your path, stop immediately. You may be holding a hidden vault of wealth, a modern coin quietly storing fortune and history. And there you have it, collectors! From 1934 to 1974, we've uncovered 20 Washington quarters that are far more than coins. They're hidden treasures, silent vaults of wealth, and pieces of history that could make anyone a collector overnight. Each coin we've revealed today has a story, a legacy, and value that continues to climb in today's auction market. Remember, treasures like these don't wait around. They're disappearing into private collections every single day. So the next time you check your pocket change, don't overlook the quiet giants sitting right under your nose. Stay tuned, because in Rare Coin Secrets USA, we uncover the hidden wealth, rare finds, and secrets of coins that most people will never know about. Your journey into hidden fortune is just getting started. Keep collecting, stay vigilant, and remember, every coin tells a story, and some are worth a fortune.